Yes, I am watching Gardener's World as I do chores here in the house because I know it's weird, but it's me. I've got to earn the privilege of getting out to work in the garden. Chores got to get done in the house before chores can get done in the garden, and that is the reward. Hello, Frugal friends. Welcome to Frugal Family Gardens. My name is Julie. I'm going to wrap up the rest of these chores, or at least the priorities, okay? The ones that absolutely have to be done. And then we're getting out into the yard. So I did finish all of the absolute must-do chores, the priority chores that absolutely just had to get done, and then I indulged in a cat nap, and it was wonderful. And now I'm awake again, almost, getting there. And my new gloves have arrived. I am one, especially if you've been with us for a while, you know that I don't generally and have not generally worn gardening gloves when gardening, and my poor hands, they really suffer for it. And where I've started more often, they look terrible right now, but more often doing my nails and, trying to take care of stuff like that, I thought, okay, all right. Let's get some gardening gloves and start trying to take better care of my hands. So I did order these. They are pink pigskin. Super cute. They're Handlandy. Expert of gloves. Protect your hands. Well, we'll see how they do. I am probably going to do an actual video review of them. If I love them, then, we'll probably get some more. But today I'm going to give them a try. We'll see how that goes. They will absolutely be better, I guarantee, than just bare hands. And where I am going to be laying out some mulch and doing lots of gathering of sticks and sawing some branches and stuff like that, it does make sense to have me some gloves. A couple of indoor gardening projects. So this poor dead ivy, I've just been leaving it up here to decompose. I've liked the spooky dead look of it, but it is time to change that out and do something about it. So stay tuned. I gotta get the stepladder. We're gonna take that down, assess the situation. I mean, the ivy itself is dead, but we're going to decide what we want to put in there. Over here, we've got some drama. So I've got my poinsettia from Christmas that my sister gave me, and I've got my orchid that my cousin and her husband gave me when I graduated from college, so 3 years ago. And I had kept it alive and got it to rebloom, but guys, it outgrew the little pot that it came in, and it was starting to get really wilty, and I waited too long. Hopefully it will recover, but what I noticed was that when I took it out of the other pot, the roots were like soggy, so it was definitely not getting enough drainage, and orchids do not like to be sitting in water. I've put it into a bigger plant with new drainage kind of bark heavy mulch, potting soil, whatever, and am back to just, an ice cube a week or every 2 weeks. I've also given it some food, and I've got it here with the UV light on it, and I don't know. It's been several days. I'm also spritzing it once or twice a day. Wish me luck, frugal friends. I really hope this guy will recover. Yeah, oh, I hope so. And then the poinsettia, I don't know. It might be that I had it in the wrong spot for a while. Maybe it got too dry or too wet or too much sun or not enough sun. I really don't know. I have kept a couple of other poinsettias, ones that we had salvaged from the dumpsters actually a few years ago. I had kept them alive for a couple years, but I can't remember how I did. I need to start taking notes when it comes to the tricky plants. Well, tricky for me. But I've got it in this bowl, and I only water it, after the bowl has gone dry. I don't water it over the top. I let it suck up water as it wants, and I spritz it every day. It also is benefiting, of course, from the UV light. I don't know, guys. If you have any tips or tricks for growing orchids and poinsettias indoor, in a house that does have central air and central heat in a desert, please, oh, please do share in the comments. This guy is doing really well. This is one of the many plants that was part of the arrangements that were gifted to us when my daddy passed away, rest in peace. And it's doing really, really well. I've got this awesome little Minnie Mouse. I believe that was from Ellie, Miss Petite Fireball. And this dumpster light, I had it in here just because when I fixed it, I wasn't ready to take it outside yet, but I am going to move that outside today. This and this one here are both from those arrangements from my daddy's funeral, as is this one, and that one that's hanging down over the staircase. So right here, I've got my dumpster salvaged tote and a whole bunch of seeds, beans, many of which we have found in the dumpsters, most of which our frugal friends have actually sent to us, which is amazing and fabulous. I'm going to do things a little differently this year. So you may recall that last year, this whole area behind me had tables and the grow lights and a million little seedlings attempts anyway. Some of them worked, most of them did not. I don't have room for that this year because I do have the holiday tree up. It's just not going to happen, and we will be traveling and doing quite a bit, and so I'm not going to have the time or the space or the energy for the constant care that those need. And where things, the way it worked out last year, I'm like, no. So for a lot of things, I am going to just go ahead and buy them, buy some starts and some, especially tomatoes and things like that. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to do stuff with all these seeds that I already have. So the plan with the seeds this year is I'm going to prepare some pots and some places out in the various areas of the yard, and I'm going to let this happen kind of as nature would do it. Let it happen a little wild. So I'm going to put them in places where, that particular plant would actually make sense and where it would naturally seed itself and happily grow. And we're just going to sprinkle them out there in different places and in different pots. And it's going to be another fun experiment to see what works and what doesn't. It's very hard to believe at this moment looking at what we are walking into, but this, my frugal friends, is going to be the new shade garden. I've got a lot of work ahead of me. This is the lightning tree. It gets chopped on the crown every year by the city because of the wires, and that has made it into a shade tree. It's not meant to be a shade tree. It's meant to be that. Same kind of tree as that, planted around the same time as that. But because the city chops it every year, it has forced it into having a more shade tree-like shape. And we're going to take advantage of that. So what I've got to do is chop up some of the lower growth to raise the crown so that we have room to come and sit here somewhere in this vicinity. And I will also have to remove some of the stuff that's here as far as planting and all the crap that's out here, of course, too, but remove some of the planting that is here and make way for the Stumpery. Out here in the Wonderland, it's not looking so wondrous. So this is all of the stumps, the logs from the tree that we chopped down in the front yard. And I could have sworn that I told James and the kids I wanted to have as many of these as possible taken over under the lightning tree, but something must have gotten lost in translation. So now I am going to get the wheelbarrow and we're going to start moving these over under the tree. And I'm also going to, at some point, get the ones that are already in the front yard and move them as well. So I got started and I loaded several logs and took them over, and then I also thought it might be fun to leave some of them here for seating places by this fire pit. The problem is there's not much room. There's really not, and you want it to be safe and all of that, and then I need to leave room for a pathway right here. So I don't know. What I do know is there's no way that I'm going to get all of these moved today. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Luckily, Olivia got home from school and she's been helping me, and that's been awesome. And we've got the rest of the ones over here gone. I pulled up this chicken wire that I had over here. I'm going to bring out cardboard, lots and lots of it, and we're going to layer it all along there and all around here, and we'll weight it down with some of these logs, which will be awesome, and that'll help suppress the weeds. You guys know I do my Jimmy rigged kind of weed suppressant with bits of carpet and old mattress, like blow up mattresses. It does the job, okay? Well, sort of. There's this dead tree, the weed tree. Remember, that's how I busted my ankle last year or the year before, was chopping down that tree and then tripping over this raised bed that I forget is here. It is unfortunately stuck in the fence right there. So I've got to go get the saw and saw that sucker out, and then we will drag it over into the new shade garden. Then I've got a couple of our arborvitae trees that did not make it. I will be adding more in and taking better care of them this time, but all these dead ones do need to be either dug up or sawed or whatever, we'll see, chopped down and dragged over into the shade garden. Okay, working together, we were able to clear the rest of those out. So now my maple and peach trees don't have those logs laying around. I just got to pick up garbage. You know, there's something, one of the greatest sadnesses for a gardener, especially me, is when you realize that one of the plants you purposely planted in your yard turned out to be a thug and is trying to take over everything. Sure does smell good though. Something over here smells really good, like lemony. I don't know. Anyway, that, I don't know if it's milkweed or what it is, but it's horrible stuff. It's horrible and it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's terrible stuff. So one of my goals this year is to eradicate it from my yard, which is going to take a lot of doing. And then this creeping Jenny, I think is what it's called. Terrible stuff. Huge, huge regret ever planting that. It does get beautiful flowers and it's great to cover a lot of ground, but oh, it's so terrible. It's such a thug. It just totally takes over. That is another one that I will attempt to eradicate. I've got lots of flowers out here that need separating, lots of weeds that need pulling. One of the most important things that I'm going to need to do today or tomorrow, most likely tomorrow, is to get the rest of all these weedlets, these little weedlings, covered, smothered. Pull as many of them as I can stand to, and then cover the rest of them, especially along this rock path, because this will be covered in grass if I don't. Same over here. See all that? Look at this. It's like smothering this poor little box bush between the morning glory and these other things. This poor guy. So this stuff's got to go. That is going to be a lot of work, but hey, that's gardening for you. Gardening's a lot of work. The other thing is I've got to lay down black plastic along all these paths so that I can trim. Well, for one, it'll suppress everything through the spring sprout, as I like to call it, but also that way I can trim down all these box hedges and be able to just sweep up all the bits and not have to come through like I've done every other time and have to clean them up piece by piece. I'm going to chop all of them quite a bit down and let them fill in, but just low, put all their energy into spreading out and getting low and full rather than putting their energy into height. Another sad thing that is the result of working fast, not smart, is look how uneven this is. It's terrible. So my options here are to trim them, trim them into shape, or to dig these mature box hedges up and start it over. If I am going to dig up, this would be the time to do that, and it would be these two that I would want to dig up and move. I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and do it. Where I am chopping all of them anyway, they're going to be quite a bit lower. I don't need to feel too bad about losing all of that growth. But it is a pain. Well, that's the lesson you learn right here today, folks. Do it right from the beginning. Take the time, measure it out, make sure that everything is plumb and level and all of that before you commit. It saves you the work later. Here is where I have gotten so far with the new shade garden. I've got to get that hammock down. That's one that we had found in the bins, and I had great plans for it, and never really done anything with it. I might actually hang it here on this back wall of the shed after I've painted the shed. That's another thing. I have to paint the shed, or have the kids paint it, before I can do a whole lot over in this area with the shade garden. Yeah, so gotta get that done. And I still need to trim up these lower branches. But I'm feeling pretty damn good, guys, about what we were able to get accomplished. Something I had not considered was that all this wood had been sitting out there through several rainstorms and snowstorms and was completely waterlogged, weighing probably 3 times what it did when we chopped all of this down. Another lesson learned. And now the sad chore of dismantling this little shade garden. It has been a beautiful thing, and I have loved it. And the new one will also be beautiful. It just won't be there greeting me every time I come home. But it'll give me incentive to get out into the yard more often. Look at this little guy. He was a volunteer. Yeah. We'll try to keep him intact. See what all he'll do growing in that stump. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave that one right here and just kind of see what it does, but remove all the rest of this. Before I forget to mention it, I like the gloves. Now, this is only day 1. We'll see how well they hold up. I mean, already, let's see. I mean, got torn up a little bit there. Are they gonna last? I don't know. What do I like about them? Not necessarily these gloves. It's just wearing gloves and my hands not being all torn up. Who would have thunk that gardeners should wear gloves? God. Yeah, I don't think these are gonna be long-term lasting ones, just based on that pinky alone. And the tips right here. They're not. It says pigskin leather. I don't think so. I don't think it actually is. The way that it's already getting torn up. I don't think so. So I am not going to recommend these gloves. I will leave a review on Amazon about them, but yeah, I'm not going to recommend these, and I'm not going to leave a link for them because I don't think you should buy them. But I am going to find me some amazing gardening gloves that really are leather. Oh, look at this, like even this finger, it's all torn up, and that really will last. So if you have suggestions, recommendations for some really good long-lasting leather gardening gloves, tell me in the comments.